Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is Gianluca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid.
Here we go. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM on UnitedStates.fm network. Today's show is going to be back to the roots. Everything starts at local government, and I really believe that we still have hope, at least here in the counties in America. I don't know the rest of the world. I don't know what's happening in Europe. I know that in America we have a county government that I think is the foundation of this republic. I want to say something honestly. I've lost a lot of hope for what's happening right now in Washington. And, at the state level, we still have some control. But when it comes down to the county, we have no excuses. We can still make a difference. And what I really would like to accomplish, I don't want to change anything. I would like to bring back things that used to be. The idea that this is a republic, we have limited government where the people are, after all, the masters, and the government works for the people. And that's the attitude. And also a very important thing, we have a constitution, we have a Bill of Rights, and we're supposed to have a form of government that instead of creating more and more laws, and after all, is going to become some sort of an exponential sort of a slavery, because there's always going to be new laws. We're going to go back to the basic law, the law that we have rights until we infringe on somebody else's rights. And we should be our own sovereign person in our own property until, of course, we disturb or infringe other people's rights. Now, straight to the point. There is in Mohave County a great opportunity to bring back at least our form of government that I was talking about. And I like when I see regular people running for office. And regular people means the people that never been in business of the public business, the political business. They're working men, working women. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to endorse anybody because, first of all, I'm nobody. I cannot endorse anybody. I'm just a regular guy. But more important, because my only goal here is to give you the opportunity through the show to do your own researches, to understand what's going on, and you use your brain. And don't listen to me, but listen to the candidate. And more important, don't just listen to their words, also follow their actions, what they're doing, what they represent. And this is my job. And I would like to say, today I officially open the show to every candidate who is running for Mohave County Supervisor. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, you're welcome. You're all going to get the same time. And I'm going to give you the same questions. There is no any type of preferential treatment. I respect you all, but you expect me to, at least you expect real questions. Today, I'm very happy because I have a man that also, I tell you, I use him as a business. I come here when I do my tire job and I have some problem with my truck. This is a working guy. And that's why I'm broadcasting right now exactly from the place where he works, okay? His name is Rick Armstrong, and he's running for Mohave County Supervisor. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing all right, Luca.
Very good. Now, before we go ahead, remind exactly which district for Mohave County you're running for.
District 4.
District 4. That exactly which area does it cover?
That covers Kingman North, Kingman South, Oatman, Golden Valley, and basically everything from Coyote Pass to the dam.
It's a pretty big area.
It's the second largest district.
It's a big area to cover. Now, tell us a little bit about your background, because, I always said it's good to know where people are coming from. I really like to know their background, because if somebody has been doing, for example, working for the government since ever, they don't have any experience really what us regular people, we have to face. After all, the government, I really believe now, the public business, the public employment, they have completely different treatment from the private business. Much harder if you work for private. What is exactly your background as an American person and also as a working person?
Well, I enlisted in the military at 17, and I got injured on my last trip overseas and was retired in 1999. I moved back to the Houston area, which is where I'm from, and just didn't feel comfortable there. I had been out to Mohave County in the 90s, and I said, this is where I want to go when I retired. So I packed up my wagon, my little red S10, and I headed west. I lived down in Bullhead at the time. I've worked in the auto industry for the last 15 years. I've been a Mohave County resident. Let's see, after living in Bullhead City, I moved up to Kingman, and I was up there for quite a few years. I worked very, very closely with the Boy Scouts. For 5 years, I was Scoutmaster. I'd like to think I did a lot of good working with the youth up there. The last 6 years, I've been out here in Golden Valley. The last 5 years, I've actually been managing a business, and we're still turning a profit even in a down recession.
Okay, yes, very good. This is interesting because the idea is this one. I really believe that it's time that if we want to change the machine, that's why we have a machine that is broken, unfortunately, and not because it's broken, because it broke itself. Unfortunately, because we got the broken people inside, they become they're used to power and corruption, and that's why they treat us like a bunch of slaves. But when we are regular people, wants to change something, we need to be part of that machine. That's why I'm happy that you're running, even, of course, I'm not endorsing you, but I'm really happy. I would like to have people like you more and more running, because we need to have people that pay bills, understand what it means to work for a living, and understand that we can now have a government out of control. Now, what if you make it to become a county supervisor? What would be your priorities? Give us like 5 points of your platform where people should vote for you.
Well, one of the biggest things is we have to get that spending under control. The county, they're little pet projects here, they're little pet projects there. 2 of our supervisors actually sat down, went line item by line item, and were actually they could reduce the tax burden on the taxpayer, and they wouldn't have had to shifted funds, they wouldn't have had to add a sales tax or anything. We can take some of the equipment. Let's just take, for instance, the road equipment that they're using. And they use it all over the county. They use it in Kingman. They use it, out here in rural Arizona. But they're turning in their equipment way, way too early. You can get several decades of use out of a properly maintained piece of equipment. Instead of keep spending $250,000, $300,000 at the drop of a hat, because it's nothing. The current administration feels that it's not their money, so why should they be frugal with it? Also, by doing that, if we start getting longer life out of the vehicles, a lot of people don't realize 120,000 miles or 6 years, they get rid of a county vehicle. And that's just phenomenal. I mean, I work on your vehicle, Luca. I know
how many miles. I mean, I used to.
you got a 250,000 miles on your little truck out
and
there.
I could afford a new car, but I still I don't want to waste the money. Call me conservative. I don't know, but I'm a regular guy. I'm working with my money. If I was working with somebody else's money, I would be even more concerned.
Absolutely. I was recently. I don't know, you want to call it attacked or called on the carpet by one of our current supervisors, saying that I wanted to have the sheriff's department sitting on the side of the road waiting for a tow truck, and that's just it just blew my mind. They made it personal at that point. Certain vehicles.
You know what? Let me ask. This is a public. Everybody running for office is a public record. Who was the supervisor?
It was Mrs. Bishop.
Okay, Mrs. Bishop. Now, talking about, I don't want to talk about her unless she comes here, because by the way, I would like to bring her now, since we mentioned her. You're more than welcome, Mrs. Bishop, Supervisor Bishop, to come here on the air. By the way, I would like to remind you that last year you were very unpolite with me, because you gave me the okay through your office to be on the show 3 weeks ahead before the primaries, and then the day before, I think the same day, 1 hour before we were supposed to record the show, you just told me that What was my show about it? And you never show up. And I don't have any grudge with you, no personal resentment, but that's not professional. Let me tell you that, Supervisor. Anyway, regardless, you're welcome. You know, I don't have any bad feeling, and you're more than welcome to come back, Supervisor Bishop. Now, talking about spending, I say something that everybody should understand. There are politicians out there that they call themselves conservatives or Republicans, whatever you want to say. And then when I look at their voting records, in this case, you know, the county ordinance or the project they try to pass, for me, there is no difference between them or any other liberal Democrats, whatever you want to call them, big statist people. And among those, I must tell you, I'm not trying to pick on Supervisor Bishop, but it's the fact. She, in my opinion, according to facts, it is not just a personal feeling situation. She's been one of the most, out of control spending supervisor out there. You can tell me more than me. I mean, give me a couple of projects that I know she was trying to push, like, for example, the county courthouse. Tell me about
Well, you know what? We won't even have to get into the courthouse because they took it off the agenda.
Yeah, but she tried. I mean, she was
definitely tried. And when I called her, I said, Jeannie, you know, why would you spend this amount of money? It's ridiculous.
Let's say how many millions, because
$30 million
for a building. Okay, this is Golden Valley, Kingman area, Mohave County, not Beverly Hills. Go ahead, please.
Well, they're building their castles, Luca.
Yeah, I know.
But you know, we'll take today. They're going to spend, I believe it was $50,000 to chip seal a road that 30 people go on maybe a day. And she was discussing doing away with the Transportation Commission, which the Transportation Commission, a lot of people don't realize, that is the citizens' voice. That is where the citizens can go, just like with planning and zoning. If you don't like getting answers, yes, it can be considered another layer of bureaucracy, but it can also help us. Mm-hmm. And when asked this morning during the February 1st Board of Supervisor meeting, she says, I just haven't found anybody to my liking. So is she looking for someone that's going to vote very liberally with her? I know that she has, how can I put this? If she can be vindictive, and use those roads, you know, if you don't like me, or if you don't do what I've asked you to do, maybe I'll look the other way when it's time to. Do
you have proofs to say that? This is a strong allegation.
I do, but I have until the time comes up, and it will come up before the election. We're gonna hang on.
Okay, and as I said, Supervisor Bishop, you're more than welcome. You know, I always say that everybody deserves has the right to defend their position, and more important, if facts are inaccurate, I want you on the show. I really would like to have you here. Now, so number one, you want to go back to bring in some sort of accountability, fiscal accountability to our county government, because this is out of control. I completely understand and agree with you. Second point, what else would you do to try to, let's say, bring back the basic idea of also living in a free country, because it's becoming more and more difficult here? What do you think? What would you do as a county supervisor? Of course, we're talking about that, your role.
So this morning I addressed the board. Mm-hmm. I think it's time that we take back our lands from BLM, that we kick the federal government off of these lands. But that can only be done by someone who knows the Constitution, someone who understands. Even just the premise of it is that unless the land that they are sitting on is on top of a building, they don't have the right by the Constitution to own land outside of Washington, D.C.
Exactly. And people, you know, we need to go back to the basics, because you're completely right. The only way the Constitution exactly expresses the federal government control over the land, we're talking about forts, we're talking about harbors, military structures, but we're talking about now here billions of acres. About land that they just get because the state of the counties, they're just passive, they don't say anything, and now we're going to be completely relegated in towns or in cities. Yep. So you that's good, very good about that. Now, second point, what do you think about also other ideas? Because I know you got a kind of an interesting guy. You're not just a regular working guy. You understand that and I don't want to speak for you. we live in a very strange and dangerous time as Americans, as country, especially if we talk about constitution too many times, we can be labeled domestic terrorists, as you know.
Correct.
And you are also a veteran, so you got a couple notches up, because returning veterans, they also consider domestic terrorists. What would you do, according to the powers relegated to your county office supervisor, to try to create a community that we have some sort of, I don't know, like a small little America that we used to be?
You know, Luke, I've always stood up to the far overreaching step of the federal government. You know, I've been a militia commander for 5 years. I've always believed in a very, very small government. We have to rein it in. Unelected bureaucrats cannot dictate policy anymore. If a person is sitting there in, whether it be a BLM office or some sort of other managerial, quote unquote, managerial position in the government, and they're dictating policy, that is wrong.
Exactly. We're supposed to have, first of all, we are under the rule of law, not under the rule of policy of let's say, an elected bureaucrat. Number one, we should go through only to the people that we elect, number one. Also, I would like to get a little bit of interaction with you about some ideas. You know, more and more we say that we are homeowners or landowners, but at the end of the day, we realize that the moment that we don't pay our yearly fee, property tax, we lose everything. If we use the same logic, tomorrow the government could pretty much say, you bought that couch, that's a property. If you don't pay every year a fee, a tax for the couch, that's my couch. So we are already there. Now, there is though a point. Let's start with the idea of permits, you know, because permits, it's a big word. You know, for example, I see this beautiful truck. This is your truck?
Yes, sir.
Nice truck. Can I please get the keys to go check it out?
For you, Luke, I would do anything.
Good, but see, I'm asking you.
For a stranger,
I'm asking you a permit because it's your truck.
Sure.
Okay. The moment that I ask for a permit, I recognize that it's not mine; it's yours.
Correct.
Now we go back to our little homes. You know, we try to live. The beautiful thing about this area is very rural. It is not like New York or Los Angeles. Everybody living on top of each other. We have space. At least the average family has at least 1 acre, if not more. Okay.
Correct.
So I don't want to buy the idea that every time I need to move a rock or a piece of wood on my property or put a new roof, I am endangering somebody else's rights, because there is no excuse here. We got space. But still, we know very well, if we don't do exactly what they say, Master says that you must ask a permit, even just to build a little bit of a chicken coop more than 10 by 10, right. I'm going to get in trouble. You know, the beautiful thing about this concept, you guys, in case you become a supervisor, we don't need to change 500 people in Washington or maybe 200 people in Phoenix or wherever they are. It's 5 of you. You could make or break everything. What do you think about the idea to be open, that maybe something revolutionary in a nice way, that finally, if you are on the land and if you don't have, for example, let's say bank or loaners involved, so that's your land, and you don't need to say, okay, I need to justify that for a loan or for a bank. I have no more the obligation as mandate to ask for a permit unless I am infringing on somebody else's rights around my neighbor. For example, let's say there is a septic tank. I understand, because the water belongs to everybody. If I, poop in the water, we have a problem. But if I want to put a roof, why should I ask for a permit? Unless I want as option. Because when I resell the house, for example, I want to have a certificate with a stamp from the county to look good. But should there be any more something that if I don't do it, the county come with the sheriff and they put the lock in my house? What do you think about this idea?
Luca, I'm a firm believer that a permit is when the government steals your rights and tries to sell them back to you. Mm-hmm. Case in point is a concealed weapons permit. My concealed weapon permit came in the Constitution. And it said the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. It didn't say with a permit or with special regulations. The fees that are charged for these permits and trying to get a building permit are just, wow, they're astronomical. I looked at them and I couldn't believe, the cost of it. I don't think that we need to have a permit for every little thing that we do.
You know very well that I wasn't here, and but in 1985 or so, I have documentation that in this county, in the rural part, not in the city, to build a house or all you needed was just a septic tank. There were no permits. You know that,
right?
And we still, I think people, they were doing okay. Nobody has, some sort of disaster going on. Everything was okay. And we had to pay less. And more important, I think, is the principles. Because even if the permit it's $1, it's still a discretion of somebody that you must kiss his ass.
Correct.
Or her ass. Okay, listen, this is exciting because I tell you, I want to be honest, not many other candidates that would ever even go on record with this stuff. Because this is something that I know very well that everybody's being, at least most of the people out there, they almost like being trained to think that we must have permits for everything. So I think I thank you for that, for your a bit outspoken, a bit different.
Why change who I am?
Exactly.
I'm running for office based on my name. Mm-hmm. I am running for office based on my reputation and how I do business. So to sit there and say, well, a permit couldn't be so bad. I have always been vocal about the overreach of the government.
Good. You seem like I know you before you were running for office. I know you're aware, a person very aware of many topics that they're very, I think, dear to everybody, every American who understand the concept of freedom and what we are facing. I give you the keyword, and then I would like to know your opinion on what we can do, and more important, if you are aware, even I think it's a rhetorical question. Okay. Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. Are you familiar with the United Nations Agenda 21?
I am. And if we don't get ourselves out of the United Nations, if we don't kick them off of our sovereign soil and tell them to go pound sand in their own country, we're going to lose our rights as individuals. But then again, this is where strong local leadership can also come in. Because are we going to have leadership? Well, and I won't even call it leadership because I've been referring to it lately as management because there's a total lack of leadership from some of our supervisors. So are we going to have management that bows down and licks their boots? I don't think so. Not if I'm there.
Yeah, I agree with you. We need to have, every supervisor had that delegated powers. We could change all this. The point is, Agenda 21 doesn't come as imposed, but it comes because normally counties or cities, they accept it. They are normally grants and they are contracts. For example, they're already like cities, like municipalities, like Flagstaff, and just to give you one, that they willingly accepting Agenda 21. And people don't understand because probably they don't see the name Agenda 21, but they can see the consequences. Come down to zoning, to more difficulty to grow, to build, to use the resources. If you have animals, you're going to be outlawed to have animals.
They do it under nice little names like international building codes. These are great. They were accepted internationally. Get out of Mohave County.
And also the sustainability development means that pretty much they're going to be able to control every resource, starting from the water, starting from your food. I mean, I'll give you an example. Visalia, California. Mm-hmm. I had a guest a few months ago. Okay. It was a mom, lives in this little town, and she had a couple of little baby, and she couldn't feed them, breastfeed them because she has a problem, but she bought a miniature, the dwarf goat, okay?
Yep.
And this goat, everybody love her. It's smaller than a dog. Nobody's complaining. But the city, just because.
I remember
the story. They wanted to find her $1,000 a day. Yep. And then I found out by accident that city applied and complied with Agenda 21. Correct. That in their mindset, slaves supposed not to have opportunity to grow your own food or take care of yourself, but they want you controlled by.
We are not slaves. Yeah. We are free men. Our founding fathers gave us everything lined out in the Constitution on how to run this country and how to keep our government in check. And somewhere along the way, we lost our way. But now it's time to get back. It's time to get back to the roots of things. When they pass an ordinance, you have to look at it. Is that constitutional? Are we infringing on the constituents' rights? And if they are infringing on your right, even if it's just a little, when they say, oh, it's just a little permit, or it won't matter down the road, it does. It absolutely does. Luca, you were involved with the whole T-shirt thing. Mm-hmm. Not being able to wear certain T-shirts.
No, that wasn't me. There was the other person, Mervyn. Mervyn, but yeah, it was all part of it. And the point, at the county level, for example, just because they say so, out of the blue, they start to tell us we have a dress code, and you need to remove your hat in front of their majesty. I mean, if they're really working for us, they should remove their hat in front of me, not the opposite. And people went to jail. You know that.
I remember that. And one of the things I've always said is, number one, when we send people to Kingman and to Phoenix and to D.C., it seems that they get in there and they forget who they work for. Mm-hmm. They don't work for the federal government. They don't work for the state government. They don't work for the county government. They work for we, the people. I actually have a lot of people in my camp, and they know where I live. So, if I mess up, they're going to come knocking on my door, and I would expect you to be leading the pack with a torch.
Listen, all I know that it's really important what you're doing, and that's why I say we need people like yourself, people that, first of all, understand what we are facing, and more important, we need not professional politicians, that they are ready to take their time and to try to be part of this machine to fix. I really think we have hope. Seriously, this is the first time I'm saying that. I think we had hope even a few years ago when we had the new change after the Supervisor Sockwell left. Right. We had, at least with Hildy Andrews and also, with Moss, a new blood. And I like the fact that we have 5 people. We have more chance to balance the situation. But we need more. We need reinforcement. And I'm glad that you're running. Even, of course, I'm not saying that I'm going to vote for you, but I say I'm glad that you're running, because I think we need people like you there. Now, question is, how people can help you? This is very important. How can people can find you to help, maybe volunteer or donate? Okay. You have a phone number or you have a website?
Well, we do. We have a website, and it is www.rick4supervisor.com, and that's 4 with the number 4, because I'm running for District 4. My email is rickforsupervisor@gmail.com. My phone number is right on our website. My address is right on the website. We update it every couple of weeks with an opinion piece on what's going on, and we try and keep the opinion pieces up there so that people can scroll back and go, where does he stand on this? Where does he stand on that? Anybody that wants to volunteer, please step up. We're going against the machine. We have had a lot of contributions. We have a GoFundMe account, and it's Rick4Supervisor. We also have a Twitter account with the same Rick4Supervisor.
I will post all your information on lovegunsfreedom.com on the homepage and also on today's show. So for the listeners, in case you don't find it, go to lovegunsfreedom.com. I will post the link to his website and everything else. So I really hope this is important. I tell you, we talk here in the show about freedom. We talk about bringing back our rights. And I really tell you, there is no other place like a county level, local government, we have that chance. We don't need to have millions of dollars of donations, or we don't need to have so many people to change like in Washington. We need just a few good men or women, and honestly, it's not even about the money anymore. It's about our time. All we can do, do our little part. Instead of spending 1 hour at Starbucks looking at the stars, come out and pick your candidate and try to make the changes that we can really do. I really believe it's possible. And then what I said, I say priceless, like the MasterCard advertisement.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to go into details, but it would be some priceless moment when I would see the face of some of these, I would not call it good old boys, good old girls, whatever they are. They've been in public business for 10 years, 15 years, and they become their profession. That's wrong. I don't care who you are. That's wrong. Go get a real job, because after all, we are paying for you, and these people, they live in another reality. So I tell you, I would like to see some great changes, and to have regular people like you, and then at that point have the MasterCard moment, priceless moment to see their faces when we're going to kick them out and go back to their life, and they need to leave us alone for a moment.
Yes, and we do need to kick them out. And people need to remember that it does start at the local level. A very interesting read is called The Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrate, and it was the basis of the Magna Carta, one of our great documents of freedom, where they said we aren't going to we're not going to impose any more of your tyrannical rule. They stood up. The nobles stood up. Didn't work out well for them, but they did stand up.
It's a stand, and we are going back. And we know very well where we are right now. The reality that now in America we are before pre-Magna Carta, because with the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, where every one of us can be detained, indefinitely detained, without due process, without even facing your accuser or even the judge or a trial, I mean, that's for me, it's tyranny. That's why I really believe the county government, with our county supervisors, and of course with the great county sheriff, we can have finally back what we used to be, and we don't need to wait 50 years. We can do it this year. So let's get involved. Please find your candidate. As I said, I'm neutral here. I'm independent. All I want to do is give everybody the right opportunity to express themselves. And now we ask the same questions. And you know where my principles are. If you are somebody that believes that we need to have more permits and more regulations, I'm going to tell you I don't agree with you. But the reality is that I welcome you here, and I hope more and more people are going to be part of this. You don't need to run for office to make changes. You can help people like him, like Rick Armstrong, running for office. So one more time, the last time, your website, then I'll let you go.
www.rick4supervisor.com.
Perfect. Guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And now a little bit of a break, a little bit of a song, and then we got more news and more guests coming. Don't go away.
Before it's too late, they're trying to make you fade away. They're trying to kill your faith. Every day you're invaded, your soil desecrated. Politicians turn their back. You're under attack. You're under attack. They're trying to erase your borders. The UN wants to give you orders. They're trying to sell your pride. It's time to wake up. Now it's time to fight. Wake up, America, before it's too late. They're trying to make you fade away. They're trying to kill your faith. The truth has died. The media bias lies. They want to divide the enemy inside. The enemy inside. Brainwashed from too much TV. You're getting weak. You're getting bleak. They're trying to sell your jobs. Please wake up now till there's some hope. Wake up, America. Before it's too late. They're trying to make you fade away. They're trying to kill your faith. God is being banned from our schools and from our land. We gotta fight, we gotta stand for the past, for our future, or it'll be the end. They're trying to change our constitution in the name of evolution. They have the right to kill a child. They call it the right to choose. I just call it crime.
Okay, and we are back on the air. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. This is the first hour. We had a great show, great interview with Rick Armstrong. As I said before, the first hour is about going back to the roots, understanding how we can defeat global government, how can we defeat tyranny, how can we bring back our republic. Now, back to this, I want to also have a phone connection right now with my friend Ken Rhodes, who's been witnessing what happened and what's happening in Oregon the last month.